Have you ever stopped to wonder why some products just fly off the shelves? They become these massive hits, while other ones that seem just as good totally crash and burn. It's this mystery that costs companies billions, and they're all scrambling to answer the exact same question. What do we, the consumers, actually want? So let's crack this code together. Okay, think back to the height of the smartphone wars. Apple's iPhone was king. It was this absolute giant. So, how in the world did Samsung manage to carve out a huge space for its Galaxy phones? Well, they went digging. They literally sifted through hundreds of thousands of tweets and all kinds of online chatter, looking for things people were complaining about with the iPhone. And then, bam, they built a whole ad campaign around the features where they knew Samsung had an edge. But when you get it wrong, boy, the results can be a total disaster. Just look at Tropicana. They decided to redesign their famous, iconic orange juice carton, but they didn't really test how people would react. And guess what? Sales plummeted by 20%. They had to scramble to switch back to the old design after just a couple of months. It just goes to show you how incredibly high the stakes are. Which, brings us right to the heart of it all. How do these companies actually get inside our heads to figure out what we're going to buy, what we're going to fall in love with, and what we're just going to flat out reject? It is a massive, incredibly expensive puzzle that every single one of them is desperately trying to solve. And the answer? Well, it lies in a field that works mostly behind the scenes. It's an entire industry dedicated to cracking that consumer code, and it's called marketing research. So, just how important is this field? To put it in perspective, back in 2013 alone, companies all around the world spent over $40 billion on it. We're not just talking about a few simple surveys here. This is a massive global operation. The American Marketing Association has this official definition. They call it the function that links the consumer to the marketer. But really, what does that mean? It's basically the bridge. It's the formal process of listening to customers, and it's how companies take our fuzzy opinions and our desires and turn them into hard, concrete business decisions. But here's the thing. The real goal isn't just to collect a mountain of data. No, it's to find that one elusive aha moment. In the industry, they call that a marketing insight. See, it's just not enough for a company to know what we do. They have to understand why we do it. That why, that's the golden ticket. That's the insight, and it is the key to pretty much everything. Procter & Gamble had a huge aha moment when they decided to completely overhaul their $3 billion Pantene brand. And they went deep. They used everything from psychological mood scales to EEG research. That's where they literally measure women's brainwaves, all to get this true, deep understanding of their feelings about hair. That right there is the power of a real insight in action. Now, to find these incredible insights, researchers don't just sit around and guess. They follow a really methodical process, kind of like a detective's blueprint for cracking a case. Let's take a look at the steps. So this is the standard playbook. It's a 6-step process that takes them on this really structured journey, all the way from figuring out what the problem is in the first place, right down to making a huge business decision based on what they found. That second step, develop the plan, that's where the detective really opens up their toolkit. Researchers have this whole range of different methods they can use to start gathering clues about all of us. A classic tool you've probably seen in movies is the focus group. You've got a moderator guiding a small group of people through a discussion, while the researchers are on the other side watching from behind a two-way mirror. The whole point is to uncover our real motivations, the stuff we might not even admit on a regular survey. And then, of course, there's survey research, which is all about asking people directly. And the scale can be just insane. Wells Fargo, for instance, collects over 50,000 customer surveys every single month through its branches, all to get feedback and tweak their service. But here is the most important lesson in all of this. You can have all the clues in the world. You can have all the data, all the survey results, and still get the conclusion completely, catastrophically wrong. Why? Because information is not the same thing as insight. And honestly, there is no better example of this than one of the biggest marketing research blunders in history. Back in the 70s, a major film studio hired a top researcher to predict if their new science fiction film would be a hit. His conclusion? It was going to be an absolute flop. That film was Star Wars. And, on paper, his logic seemed pretty sound based on the data he had. He argued that after Watergate, audiences wanted realism, not some fantasy. He figured that after the Vietnam War, having the word war in the title would be a huge turnoff. And he pointed out correctly that science fiction just wasn't a very popular genre at the time. So he was right about the data points, but he completely missed the bigger picture. He delivered information, but he didn't deliver insight. He never actually analyzed the script to see that Star Wars wasn't just a sci-fi movie. It was this universal human story of love, of conflict, of loss and redemption. He missed the feeling. He totally missed the magic. So the next time you pick up a shampoo or a smartphone or even a carton of orange juice off the shelf, just think about the incredible invisible effort that went into getting it right there in that moment. Ask yourself, what secret conversation did this brand have with millions of people just like you, all to make sure that you would make exactly that choice?